Hello, and welcome to the Kathleen Spracklin Podcast. I am a woman on a mission to get you the Zettelkasten of your dreams on your work table beside you. Well, today I'm going to revisit the author box with you. The last time that we talked about the author box, I was working on a solution to having the ability to look up books by their title. Well, I'm afraid that in the method that I chose, I kind of ended up, I guess as the saying goes, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Yes, I could look up by title, but the process was incredibly tedious of converting my index. And furthermore, I felt that I was losing something in the process. So let me show you in the down-facing camera my first try and what I finally settled on. And I'm very, very happy with what I've finally settled on, although it does mean some more work going back through. So head on over to the down-facing camera with me and I'll show you what I mean. Many of you know that in addition to keeping an index, I also keep an author box that I sometimes refer to as my people box. Now, in my author box, I kept the name of the author, sometimes a little bit more information about them, and then my bib card numbers for all of the works that I had on file for that particular author. But I was missing something that I really felt a need of, and that was the ability to look up sources by the title and not always just by the author. So I conceived of the idea of doing an author index, book, author, and book title, all in the same index, where I would construct it much the same way that I construct my general purpose index. I'd start out with the letter of the alphabet and then just track every use of that letter in either the author name or the title of the book. Then, if any given name or any given word in the title were used 3 times or more, I would promote it to a card of its own, just as I did in the regular index. Well, I began working through my author box, and I got as far as the letter D, but man, it was just becoming incredibly tedious. It was just very grinding work, and I wasn't very happy with the result. For instance, because Caputo had been used 3 or more, in this case more times, he got promoted to a card of his own. It went into the index with the same titles. Now you might think that these 2 cards are essentially the same, but the reality was that this card was much more comfortable to me, much more pleasant to work with. I had some room on the card. I could write the title of the book in a larger font size, if you will, if there is such a thing as a font size for handwriting. Whereas I felt this just felt so repetitive. And it wasn't just for Ken Caputo, it was for every author that I had a handful or more of sources. It was just becoming just a massive amount of work. Now, to give you an example, and remember, I'd only gotten through the letter D, going through the author cards up through the letter D, and already, for example, this is my B card. Look at all of these entries that are from author names. When I went back to the standard type of author card, in this case, for example, Brand would still get a card all to his own, even though he only had 1 book that made it into my collection. So every author gets his own card. Under the system that you have to be promoted first, he wouldn't get in there for that card. But if you look at all of these entries that were just for authors who have the letter B in their name, first or last name, when they're gone, my B card is now much lighter, and you can read all of the entries much more easily. So effectively, these 2 cards were equivalent, but you can see just by the density between these how much busy work was occasioned by including the author name in the entry, and how much tighter I had to write everything compared to when the entry contained only the book's title. Now, if I ever found myself wanting to know, well, who was the author of this book. If I couldn't remember it, there would be no way to dig through the author box to find out who was the author of that book. But that's not a problem, because here's the bib card number. I just pull the bib card, and the bib card would tell me who the author was. Oh yes, it's Mortimer Adler. And indeed, here's his card. So now the next question is, how do these arrange themselves in my author box now? Well, the way it's now arranged, my general B card for the index of the titles will come at the front of the letter of the alphabet, and then all of the author cards will follow, again alphabetically. And because I list first name first, I underline the word that it's filed by, just so that my eye can go directly to it. Well, I guess I'm always experimenting because I want to find the best way that'll give me the most information for the least effort, because I don't want to waste effort. I want to spend the effort where it has a powerful return on the investment of the time, and not spend effort on things that don't get me anything back again. That's why I'm willing to, for example, in my general index, I index the whole tagline because it has enormous payoffs, even though it does take longer. So thank you for coming along on this journey with me as I evolve my author box. And I also sometimes call it a people box because I also have friends and family and other scattered information that can be stored alphabetically in that same box. And I really didn't like the idea of segregating my authors out with their own alphabetical index, yet one more index. So thanks for being on this journey with me. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.